Hey guys, welcome back. Hope you're doing well. I thought today I would talk about the Luminar adventure that's happening in Iceland this August. I've been getting some questions about it, and I thought what I would do is give you kind of a preview video of what you can expect on this adventure. I'm going to be talking about spots, shots, and gear. Let's get going. The first thing you want to do is go to this website, which is skylum.com/Luminar Adventures. You can see that right up here. I will also put a link down below. It's got the dates and that sort of thing. It's got a checklist for what you need to bring and be aware of and kind of what we're going to be doing. And then there's information about all the different folks that are going to be teaching on this tour. There's Isabella Tabachi, who I don't know, but I mean, if you look at her work, I mean, it's just fantastic. And Vanelli will be there, of course. You've got Yuri, who's really the leader of the tour and runs a tour group out of Iceland. And he's fantastic. You're just going to hang out with him. It's going to be a lot of fun. Some other guy's going to be there. Anyway, that's me. I've got just tons of photos from previous Iceland trips, and I will show you some of those photos today. Sarah's going to be there again. She came last time. She's fantastic, really personable and fantastic landscape photographer. And then, of course, you have Hobby. He's just got a great smile, great guy, and a good friend, and he's going to be helping you as well. So there's going to be 6 of us that are called masters. We're going to be the teachers, the educators, that sort of thing. And then you can see we're going to be, these are photos. In fact, that's me and Hobby and Sarah and Albert Dross and Yuri. There's Vanelli and Hobby doing some things. Here's our crew on the beach. In fact, that's me in the blue coat again. And we were taking photos of different things. And it's just a fun, fantastic time. But what I really want to get into is what are the spots that we're going to go shoot? Because that's probably what's going to draw you here. So you start out in Reykjavik. And by the way, I'll show you photos of Reykjavik. It's a beautiful city. I've got so many photos just of the city. And, you know, you're in Iceland to shoot landscapes. I walk around the city and I'm like, this place is gorgeous. So I got photos I'll show you of there, like this one, Sun Voyager. Then we go up to this peninsula, which I cannot pronounce, Snæfellsnes or something. But anyway, there's a black church. There's Kirkjufell, which I'll show you photos of. Kirkjufell is just, it was in Game of Thrones. It's gorgeous. There's a couple of other areas we're going to visit up there as well. Then we're popping into the Highlands. I have not been here, but I mean, if you look at these photos, this place is going to be insanely amazing with waterfalls and landscape. It's just going to be just fantastic. We're going to head back down to the glacial lagoon known as Jökulsárlón, if I said that correctly, where I've just got fantastic photos there, including of a little bit of the aurora peeking through. I'll show you that in a minute. We hit this nature reserve. There may be puffins. There might be puffins. You're going to make sure. We're going to be looking for those, of course, and the sea stacks and the coastline. It's just all gorgeous. And then we'll end up back in Reykjavik. You can see it's basically a 7-8 day sort of tour. But if you scroll down, you'll see they have a map and they have all the different spots listed. So you can just come through and click on them. And as you do, on the right-hand side, some of these things are going to show up. So we'll be in Vik Village. We're going to hit these sea stacks. We're going to come down here and hit the glacial lagoon and that sort of thing. Diamond Beach, which is amazing. So overall, honestly, it's just going to be a fantastic, fantastic trip. It talks about what's included, what's not included. And then also down here, there's a short FAQ, but there's a full FAQ if you want to check that out. But what I want to do is show you some photos because for me, that's what it's really about. We're going there to capture photos. We're going to be hanging out for a week and having a lot of fun. Reykjavik's a gorgeous city. You have that beautiful church at the end of this lane. And there's the Sun Voyager at sunrise. I was there with Albert and Hobby last time, just trying to capture some nice light on this beautiful sculpture, which represents a Viking ship. There's the beautiful church, which I can't pronounce, but it's got these cool column-looking things that represent basalt columns that you find on some of the coastlines. Really just a beautiful, beautiful spot. That was at sunrise. There's a view from the top of the church looking out over Reykjavik, and you can see the beautiful colors there. When you get to the south coast and get to Jökulsárlón, again, if I said that correctly, I've been there at sunrise, I've been there at sunset, I've been there to shoot the aurora. It's honestly just interesting and beautiful any time of day. Sometimes there's little icebergs floating by because there's a huge glacier to the right here, and these chunks break off and they float by and they go out to sea under that bridge in the distance, which is actually where Diamond Beach is. And we'll get to Diamond Beach in a second, but you can just see, I mean, amazing light. And then we were there one evening looking for the aurora, and you can see the aurora was peeking through in the clouds. And we're going to make sure we get you to the right spots and help you get these photos if you're not sure what camera settings to use. But like I said, right next door to that glacial lagoon is Diamond Beach, where you have these chunks of ice that have broken off from the glacier, floated through the glacial lagoon, and ended up on the beach. And you get these amazing and interesting kind of things like that just sitting on the beach. And I've been there at sunrise multiple times now. And whether the light is great or not, I end up with amazing, beautiful photos. So that's what it looks like. All these chunks of ice are everywhere. That was a beautiful sunrise at our camp last November. And honestly, we all just walked away with fantastic photos. Now, the little town of Vic, if I'm saying that correctly, you've got these beautiful sea stacks in the distance. So we go down and shoot that beach, but you also shoot at this church, which is just gorgeous. You get these views over the coastline that are just fantastic and dramatic. This is Iceland. Everything's pretty dramatic. You go to Reynisfjara. Again, if I say that correctly, I'm sure I'm not, to be honest. But this is a beautiful black sand beach with these interesting sea stacks. And then up on that peninsula that we talked about, you have this beautiful black church. You have Londrangar sea stacks. We went there for sunset and just captured this beautiful sea stack in the distance with the sun setting and the surf hitting these rocks. You get this nice foreground element of these grasses with that warm sunlight, that golden light just hitting them. But Kirkjufell, I mean, this is the Game of Thrones place. It's just fantastic. And everybody goes and takes a similar photo, but there are other things you can do there. You don't have to just be stuck with the same photo that everybody else took. I walked down below Kirkjufell and got a shot that I hadn't really seen before. I'm sure it's been done, but I hadn't seen it that much. And that is down below these waterfalls, there are these lower waterfalls where they're cascading over these rocks and you get these gorgeous, gorgeous views. And of course, I was there one evening as well, basically in pitch black, but the sun was still out slightly in the distance. You can see a little bit of pink in the clouds. And in fact, you can even see a little bit of aurora peeking through. And if the aurora is available, we will chase that as well. Honestly, altogether, Iceland is just truly unbelievable and an amazing place. And what I want to talk about now, real briefly, is just gear. So I shoot with Sony. So this is the Sony A7R3, 42 megapixel, blah, blah, blah. And I'll put links to some of this gear down below, but I shoot with that camera and it just allows me to capture some really beautiful and stunning images. So obviously you gotta have a camera, it's a photo tour, but for me, one of the key things is wide angle lens. So this is the Sony 14mm f1.8, and that is a prime wide angle lens, which is great, of course, for the landscapes which we're gonna be shooting. It's great on like Diamond Beach. It's great at the lagoon, but it's also great for the night sky because of that f1.8 aperture. So it really allows you to open up and it just sucks in the light and you can get some beautiful night sky photos, which I'm more than happy to be out there doing with you. So I recommend resting up before the trip. Also, caffeine is your friend. The other thing that I use is another wide angle lens, and this one is the 16-35. There you go. And that's the 2.8, and that's a really versatile and amazing wide angle lens that I use on quite a lot of the photos that you see here. That and the 14 were the two lenses I used the most last time in Iceland. In fact, on the two previous trips, those focal lengths are the ones that I used all the time because they're landscapes. You're going to be wanting to shoot in wide angles. But also, I'm going to bring this. This is a new lens to me. This is the 24, let me see if I can get that. The 20 to 70 f4. It's a new lens from Sony, reasonably new. It's a great lens. I've been using it a little bit and testing it out, and it's a really versatile focal length. I also have the 24 to 105 f4, but I've been using this because I kind of prefer that wider angle. So I'll probably talk about that in a future video. But regardless, you're probably going to want a mid-range zoom of some sort. And then the other thing you may want, and I need to investigate this a little bit more, and to be clear, I don't have a lens like this, and that is something much longer, maybe 200 millimeters or even further, because again, summer, I believe puffins are going to be there around the time that we're there. And if you're interested in shooting that kind of wildlife, you're going to need a lens that's going to give you that kind of reach. I don't have a lens like that, so I need to probably rent one before we go. I'm going to do some more research and try to decide what it is I'm going to bring. But wide angle lens, two of those, a mid-range zoom, and probably a longer one. In addition to that, I've got some filters. I've got various filters I'll be bringing. This is the Polar Pro Variable ND I've kind of been experimenting with. I'll either bring that or my drop-in filters, but bottom line, landscape photography, you're probably going to want some filters. And then I'm also going to be bringing my GoPro. This is the GoPro 11 in a Ulanzi metal case, which I like quite a bit. and I'll have that attached to a little mini tripod, which I'll use to basically film video. And then of course, I back up my photos every day. I've been using this little 2 terabyte SanDisk SSD, and it works quite well. It's tiny, as you can see. I mean, it fits in a hand, right? And it's SSD, so it's super durable, and it's 2 terabytes. And so what I do is I have all my photos on my memory card each day, and I basically use a new memory card each day. When I get back to my room at night, I copy those photos onto my laptop, so they're on that hard drive as well. So now I have the original plus a copy, and then I also make a copy onto my SSD. So I end up with basically 3 copies, right? Original and 2 copies, I guess, but 3 versions of each photo for the day, because I want to make sure that in case of something happening, I have a backup plan. Now, I also talked about all the cameras. I almost forgot to mention, you need a tripod, right? I mean, it's landscape photography. You're going to want to bring a tripod. I've been using this Ulanzi and Coleman F38 carbon fiber travel tripod. It's a great alternative and a much less expensive alternative to the Peak Design tripod, which I also have and love. They're both great tripods. Just this one is quite a bit less expensive, almost about half the price. And I'll put a link to a review I did on my website down below. But that's what I'm bringing. Not to mention, I mean, you know, batteries, lots of batteries. And by the way, I talked about my camera. I'm also going to bring a backup camera. It's really good to have 2, just in case. You never know what's going to happen. But that's going to be additional batteries. It's also going to be multiple chargers for all the different devices, memory cards, of course, things like that. But there's a lot of different things I'll be packing. The weather looks to be reasonably warm by my standards, like I think in the 50s maybe, maybe even 60, as high as 60 during the day. These are Fahrenheit temperatures for me being an American. But those temperatures are fantastic, and I would bring layers, and I would bring several layers just in case. This is the North Atlantic. I'm assuming the weather could change rather wildly just in case. So I'd rather be prepared than be cold. But that's really what I'm bringing. That's the spots we're going to be going to. Those are some of the shots I've gotten at some of those spots, although I have not been to those locations in the Highlands yet. We're just going to crush it. This is going to be so much fun. I appreciate you guys kind of hanging out with me here today. And, you know, that's it. That's Iceland. If you want to check out the trip, again, the link is down below. I look forward to seeing you there. And if it's not obvious, it's just going to be a feast for the senses, both in terms of what you see and of course, photograph, but also just hanging out with like-minded people, both the instructors, the Skylum team, as well as all the other camp participants. It's just so much fun. I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for watching, my friends. I'll be back soon with more Luminar Neo videos. You guys take care. If you have any questions about the trip, leave a comment down below. I'll do my best to assist, and hope to see you there. Take care, my friends, and until then, adios.